So this week, I have a short story recommendation for you all. Sound good? For the last few years now, I've been subscribed to Escape Artists Inc. It is a family of podcasts that publish short stories every week. Within this family of podcasts, each one of them focuses on a specific genre. There's Cast of Wonders for young adult speculative fiction, there's Pseudopod for horror, Podcastle for fantasy, and my personal favorite, Escape Pod for sci-fi. There's even Cats Cast for stories about cats. The lines are blurred here and there, but that's the general distinction between each of them. Every week, a narrator reads off one of the published stories for our listening pleasure, whether they be Escape Artists Inc. originals or a reprint from somewhere else. The full text of the story is also posted on their website. The podcasts are 100% free to consume, and as of this year, they're officially a nonprofit. They use the funds they collect from supporters like myself to pay pretty much everyone involved in the process. Writers, the slush readers, the narrators, everybody. One day, I'm going to get a short story published with them. I'm claiming it now. I'll leave a link to their website in the description below if you want to check them out. So back in the before times, when I used to work in the office, during my lunch break, I used to listen to one of the stories while I took a walk around DC. Occasionally on a long drive, I listened to a few as well. Now, I kinda struggle to find the 20 to 45 minute time blocks that I need to listen to them, but every once in a while, I can make some time. For instance, last week, don't exactly remember what I was doing in the kitchen, figured, you know what, let me listen to a story right now. I searched for a pretty short episode. I like to keep them around 30 or so minutes, but every once in a while I'll dip up into the 40-45 minute range, maybe beyond. And at just over 30 minutes, I stumbled onto Wanderlust by LP Kindred. It's episode 891 of Escape Pod. I did not regret a single second of it. I'll give my unspoiled thoughts about this story first. That way you can stop after I've given you that part, and if it piques your interest, you can give it a listen. Then I'll shift gears and talk about the actual parts that I loved. So if I had to give a tweet-sized summary, it would go something like this. It was impossible to know that they would hit it off like they did. Well, impossible for one of them. As time progresses, the oddities of this man, who continues to bring groceries and taste arpeggios, grow, and the bond between them strengthens into something beloved. I didn't know it when I selected it, but this episode marks an oddity. It's the first time throughout all the years of listening to any of these podcasts that the narrator is also the author. I was immediately intrigued during the intro when I heard this and wanted to know what sparked that. As I began to listen, I realized more and more that I think this author, LP Kindred, wanted to make sure that the story was told right, and it had the right everything to it. For instance, I had a few questions about our main character that was addressed simply by the narrator being themselves. At first glance, this story isn't even really very sci-fi-ish. I can tell that something is coming. There's hints of this science fictional mystery, this unknown. But outside of one character, the cast is normal. Our POV character, Alonzo, who I didn't realize until I was writing the script that they weren't given a name until almost the very end, is having fun with our mysterious character. And by fun, I mean sex. There's some love brewing in there as well. Coco, this mysterious stranger, just keeps showing up day after day with an armful of groceries. Naturally, Alonzo lets them in, and the fun continues. As the story progresses, Coco becomes more and more mysterious, while still not delving too much into the sci-fi aspect of them. However, knowing that it is sci-fi, if you just listen to what Coco is saying, it's extremely obvious that they're not BSing like Alonzo thinks that they are. It's not until the end that things start becoming believed by our narrator. There's so much more I want to say about the story, but it requires talking about the inner workings of it. Again, the link is in the description if you want to pause this and go listen to it, and then come back and listen to more of my thoughts. All right, spoilers. The things that I was wondering about our main character, Alonzo, because Alonzo wasn't named, I also thought that Alonzo was female. I didn't want to just assume that it was a Black queer love story. I was wonderfully surprised when I realized that yes, this is a Black queer love story. It wasn't until one of the sex scenes that I realized this detail. Maybe I haven't looked hard enough, but I don't find enough black queer love stories, especially ones that are sci-fi. Now I'm ravenous for more. Alonzo is slow to trust Coco, who they've invited into their home for some hot yes. I'm totally feel for Alonzo. Then we're going to do a quick little pivot because there is a point where I had to pause. I froze. It's one of my Bader Minoff moments. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's essentially recency illusion. I only just finished Marvel's Secret Invasion like a few days before this, I think. Small but mostly insignificant spoiler for Secret Invasion. Nick Fury's wife reads to him a poem. Actually, they kind of engage in that. It's a back and forth poem. It's really only like 4 lines long, and it goes something like this. And did you get what you wanted from this life? Even so, I did. And what did you want? To call myself beloved, to feel myself beloved on the earth. The poem stuck out to me. Don't know why, because I'm not really a poetry guy. This one was just really good. And for some reason, when Coco says beloved, I just knew that this poem was what this story was about. So I keep going. I'm falling more and more in love with the storytelling, with Alonzo, with Coco, with all of Alonzo's friends. Like one day I want to master that kind of description of people in such few words. And then we have the ending. It seems I was right, maybe? At first, the ending was sad and a little frustrating. I like how we get to see Alonzo continue on with his life after losing Coco and how things essentially just keep getting better, despite the dating aspect not really working out for him. He just keeps coming back to the place that he lost Coco. I was also frustrated at the fact that it wasn't a happily ever after. In the black gay love stories that I typically see in movies and stuff, it never ends well. Someone's always dying, or it's just a terrible, terrible breakup, and you have to find the good with the bad. I don't need a happily ever after. I would just like to be able to see it a little more. So it was a welcome surprise when at the very, very end, there's that spark of hope that Coco is still there, and Alonzo essentially rushes to be with him. I loved it. I'm going to be on the lookout for some more of LP Kindred's work now. Like that was super, super good, and I have to have more, especially if it's anything like this. And in general, I need more black queer sci-fi and fantasy. If anyone has any recommendations, please leave a comment down below. Please let me know of what stories that I'm missing that I need to consume and have in my life. I have a few more past favorites from escape artists, mostly from Escape Pod. I'm definitely going to have to start reviewing a few more of those and recommending those for you all. So be on the lookout for those. I think that's it for this week. Bye. If anyone has any recommendations, please leave a comment down in the descriptions below. That's not what that word is, Tavon.